Ahmad from the Cavs and Moondog were in pink tutus. Yes, I did not see this the first time I'm watching this. Replay this for me, if you will. We're on YouTube Live. You can't see it on YouTube Live. I can. This is incredible. I'm actually impressed by this. So they're both wearing pink tutus, and they got a great, what looks like one of those.
It's a yoga ball.
Yoga balls, yeah. I was going to call it a pregnancy ball, and I'm like, that's not right. And they're keeping it connected with each other, doing a dance. I think that this is impressive.
They're pressing it in between themselves and dancing while they're pressing it.
I got to text them. I got to see how many hours. How many hours
you had to practice this? Yeah, Ahmad had to practice this. It's not I would have never imagined this in a million years. You got to, hey, man, halftime shows, you got to think outside the box. There's only so many wiener dog races you can do.
Well,
and I love the wiener dog races.
It was different enough that Inside the NBA or whatever that show's called now.
Yes.
They showed it, and then Chuck and Shaq attempted to do it. It did not work as well.
Did they get it? Was this a bet?
They probably practiced when Chuck was bigger. And now they don't know the space anymore.
Did this have anything to do with LeBron coming home?
I don't know.
Because obviously,
I just saw Worldwide Wob put it out, and then a bunch of people ran with it.
Did it get a pop from the crowd?
Not as big as when Bronny had that dunk. That dunk and that three-pointer, those are the loudest cheers that I've heard in there since.
Oh, come on.
Playoffs last year. Since the Magic series or the Heat series last year.
Man, ain't wrong.
3-3. Bronny is a problem. I asked my buddy that was there, I said, what was the crowd makeup yesterday, real quick, because I know we got other things to turn to. But he said...
Talk about LeBron here for crying out loud.
And the tickets, you could tell by the ticket prices yesterday, it was going to be a LeBron crowd. Mm-hmm. Like a Cavs crowd, but a LeBron crowd. Like, I don't think the Lakers... I don't think they were... There were a lot of LeBron jerseys of various teams. Right. But I think they were like, hey, we want the Cavs to win. We also are here to see LeBron.
There were no Nick Van Exel jerseys in the
No.
crowd.
No.
Yeah.
Or Cedric Ceballos.
I remember him.
Hell of a dunk. Good for the young man. Now we're just watching highlights. 216-474-0092. All right, back to arguments. You had to be. So I said this. People took this the wrong way a couple years ago when it came to Bill Callahan. And for some odd reason, because people hear what they want to hear. Now we're on YouTube Live, so you can actually see what I'm saying, and maybe you can get the context to everything. A couple years ago, I said you had to be ready to replace Bill Callahan. Assistants don't stay in places forever. An assistant coach, the way this is that 95% of these guys, who you know who they are. I mean, there's guys who are longtime position coaches. You'll never hear who they are. But coordinators and O-line and D-line, O-line, D-line coaches, secondary guys, DB guys, they're especially O-line guys, they're meant to be head coaches at some point. And then even on their way down, it's like they're not really going to stay. And he's a 60-plus-year-old man. And I brought that up about Bill Callahan, and I think you fanned the flames a little bit. People got mad because you made it out to be like, oh, no big loss of Bill Callahan. No, it's a big loss of Bill Callahan. But you always have to be ready to replace your assistants. Because if you do well at all, they're going to get plucked. So you had to be ready to do that. When it came to Jim Schwartz, you always had to have in the back of the mind, you didn't do well, but you obviously felt passionately enough about Jim Schwartz to give him 2 interviews and basically force him upon anybody who would have got the job, that if he were to not take this the right way, he's a proud man, he didn't take it the right way, they had to be ready. Of all the things that happened out of this yesterday, of all the fallout, I don't think Todd Monken's a bad coach. That's why I can't just kill him for hiring Todd Monken. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he's bad. I loved what Ross Tucker said yesterday when they threw out the stuff about him not communicating well with the players this last year. Well, nobody said that 2 years ago with Lamar Jackson. And then he decided to throw out Baltimore Sun headlines where Lamar Jackson was, quote, falling asleep in meetings because he was playing video games too late. Like, okay, this is strong stuff. But you had to be ready to replace him depending on the fallout. If I find out that the Browns were caught unaware that he was going to react the way he did, boy, I felt down about this team before. That's as down as I'm going to feel about this team. Like, this might be where you need to pick me up off the floor. And it might be possible. And I think a lot of people are going, Ken, don't be surprised by it. If I find out that they weren't ready for a Jim Schwartz meltdown, I mean, I'm already not feeling good. I'm going to be sick. You had to be ready Like, didn't a guy in Macedonia right now getting ready to go to work?
Everybody could see that
thought
coming.
that Jim Schwartz, how emotional his defense is, how emotional he seems to be, didn't they think that he was not going to be happy? So if a guy who's just a Browns fan saw it, wouldn't the Browns been able to see it? So they had to be prepared that he probably wasn't going to react the very best way if he didn't get the job.
Oh, and tell me that the Cleveland Browns weren't caught with their Jim Schwartz down.
You host the rest of this thing. Goodbye.
Kenny, I imagine that they had to have assumed.
I'm done.
They know how big an emotional guy Kenny has left the building.
I gotta come
Well,
back.
Kenny's too busy monking around.
He's
What'd you say?
you know.
You're too busy monking
You know
around.
what he said. You know what he said.
Monking. It's a play on the head coach's last name and what you're doing.
Kenny's disgusted right now.
My boss wanted me to walk out during the commentary on 8 last night and go, "Do you know the Monken man? The Monken man, the Monken man." I go, "Come on."
Do you know the Monken man?
I'm a serious person. I'm a serious Big J journalist here.
Hey, now is this going to be another win for the West Side? Because he lived on the West Side. It was Westlake. You told me on the phone.
I grew up listening to West Side Connection, so I always know that the West Side is supposedly the best side.
So Stefanski was Rocky River. Now Monken, this is a big step ahead.
Remember what Ice Cube said about Charles Manson?
I know the portion. I know the area in Westlake where he lived last time. Now it's got to be a bump up, right?
Well,
What?
yeah,
I'm
there's
sorry.
not as many stables out there.
I thought the stables were in the east side.
Medina.
That's where Freddie's
Oh, yeah.
horses were.
I was told Medina this time.
The horses
makes
are
a
in
lot
Medina.
of
They could
sense.
just run free out there.
A lot of sense out there.
Can he take him down to Mike White's alpaca farm?
It's a little too much of a commute.
It is Newcomers Town. That's a ways. They had to been ready that Jim Schwartz wasn't going to act that well. And you always have to be ready to replace defensive coordinators. Your hire has to be good. It's a test of your hire. The Browns had to replace Bill Callahan. They hired him. They hired I was going to say a bad term that starts with an I. I don't want to go that crazy. The guy was not ready to lead the offensive line, and it was a total disaster. Now, George Warhop on the offensive line, we'll see. But whoever they picked for defensive coordinator, like, gosh, if it's Zach Orr, you are starting behind the 8 ball because you've never heard anything really good from Ravens fans about him. And if you bring him in, you're going to have a lot to prove. You're going to have a lot to prove. But I also don't want to say that, well, Jim Schwartz, no big loss, anything like that. Like some people tried to do that yesterday as Jim Schwartz packed up his stuff and left. It is a loss. He got the very best out of these guys. I think that sometimes systems is overblown considering that there's a lot of hybrid stuff. I think you have great players. I think you'll probably go right back to somebody who kind of runs a Jim Schwartz system if we want to get too in the woods about it. But also I think that you got good players here, but I've seen you have good players and also not do so well with them. I think you had some good players on that defense, not as many as you do now when you had Joe Woods. And I didn't think Joe Woods did a great job. I don't think he did a great job. So you have to find that balance. And you have to be able to hire somebody who was good. These are not, with the exception like Dante Scarnecchia and Dick LeBeau in Pittsburgh, who even I think Dick LeBeau ended up in Tennessee after a while. Like these are not very long-term positions. So you're always going to be tested on who you hire. I mean, the same thing happened in Detroit this last year. They've been under the microscope. How are you going to replace Aaron Glenn? How were you going to replace Ben Johnson? And they were under the microscope all year. They're still dealing with it.
Yeah, I do want to say, do I think somebody else could coordinate this Browns defense with amazing Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and some of the other pieces and parts they have? Yes, but I agree with you. We saw Joe Woods' defense. We saw Steve Wilkes' defense. We saw them. There's no doubt that Jim Schwartz elevated their defense. And now you could say, maybe you would argue that somebody as special as Myles was always going to continue to get better because the elites always get better. They just find a way. They work on things and they have a database in their mind of everything that they know throughout the course of their career can work. And they have a book on the different offensive linemen they go up against, the different schemes they go up against. So somebody like Myles was always going to get better. But it wasn't just about Myles. It's being able to optimize the entire unit. And I'm sorry, Malik Collins just great. Did he not just grade out as high as he ever has his entire freaking career?
Yeah.
Not to mention, when you trade for someone in the middle of the year, you know how hard that is to trade for somebody, and then they got the best out of him too.
Good job
in Campbell. Like that has to be a feather in the cap of somebody like Schwartz. So I do not think just anybody can coordinate this defense.
People are enjoying the Monken, man. I'm sorry. Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
A couple people understand the lyrics I was saying about Charles Manson. I thank you very much. And Ryan says his kids are chanting, "Do you know the Monken Man?" Which I told my boss, I go, the last time I heard that was Lima opened up the door, said it, or sung it, and then slammed the door in my face. The Muffin Man. 216.
Can you do an edit? Owen, one of your edits with the Wiggles and take the Muffin Man and make it Monken?
As long as I can put the Italian Wiggles in there, too.
Oh, yes.
Stop text. All these rich former NFLers texting about horse farms right now. All right, coming up at 9:20, Dave McMenamin. Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
How rank your horse farms?
How rank your rich former NFLers?
There's a pony farm or a miniature horse farm, I think, in Kent.
Oh,
that's got to be number
I thought
one.
I meant Philipponi. I'm like, he has a whole farm.
Pony don't have a pony farm. And Todd Monken, does he have any miniature horses he can take? You know what? I'm not going to leave that one, the one on the ground. You knew it because you're laughing. You knew where I was going. Mary Kay Cabot going to join us next. What led to Todd Monken? Where will he park his horses? Some things, obviously, I question. Did you hear the thing about the whole prerequisite thing where I was like, well, why was it a prerequisite? Well, I don't think that was really true, is what she had said right there, which was interesting. Here, we're doing the horse stuff. Let's hear it from the mouth right now. Mary Kay Cabot on if keeping Jim Schwartz was a prerequisite.
It was a suggestion. Maybe it was a strong suggestion, but I certainly don't think that Todd Monken took this job feeling like he had to keep Jim Schwartz. I think he took this job knowing that if he wanted to bring in his own defensive coordinator, that he could have done that. And I think that those were the conditions probably for anybody. Now, maybe the younger guys would not have not done that. Maybe they wouldn't have said, hey, no, I don't want that guy. Whereas Todd probably, if he didn't want Jim, would have said that he didn't. No, I don't think that it was a prerequisite for the job.
I sure as hell hope Todd was allowed to do that because he's going to have to now because Jim ain't coming back.
Yeah, I find it.
If Jim comes back, I will not like that either. I got to tell you, I think it's over.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's over. Yeah,
you wouldn't even take him back
because he's just going to come back for money, which means he's going to like the money and then he's going to be pissed. Myles Garrett came back for money. Guess who's pissed?
Myles came back and just had the best year in NFL history,
and they won 5 games.
Yeah. Wasn't Myles' fault.
I'm glad we all got a nice memory out of it. It wasn't Myles' fault. I'm glad we got it. But you know what? I don't think Myles is an active participant in game planning. I don't think, like Todd Monken's a head coach now. He knows how important it is, and he knows how important it is to have assistant coaches because he was a guy at one point who was telling other assistant coaches how effed up the situation was before games in 2019, and then they hired him as the head coach. So he knows that he's going to have guys. You can have healthy disagreements, but you're going to have guys that are on the same page eventually, or even if they're not, willing to work with you. Jim Schwartz is a strong-willed man. He packed his boxes, left. He's a proud man. He's going to bring his boxes all the way back into the studios or back into the facility.
That would be funny. I'd like to see that captured on the next building, the Browns.
It's over. And every time, you guys know this better than I do. You all know it. The second they lose games, which will probably be early and often, considering the roster that we have, that's going to be something that's in the back of your mind. Guys, it will suck to lose Jim Schwartz. He's a good defensive coordinator, but it's now what has to happen. He made that decision yesterday, and they got to stick by it. I'm not just going to let him walk away. I wouldn't just let him walk away, but he can't be on the staff.
I can't get the visual out of my head now. Him coming back in, walking in, goes, guys, I may have overreacted.
Yeah, you're only working with this staff for the money. We have, the ultimate team that has to work together is the coaching staff. You're only back here for the money. Excellent. Yeah, because that's going to work for the Browns. We're the ones that make that situation work. Again, I'll go back to the Deontay Johnson. Yeah, we're the ones going to fix Deontay Johnson. Yeah. We're the ones who are going to do it. Yeah, we're the ones who are going to make things all hunky-dory and better with Jim Schwartz.
So we started out the show talking about how Todd Monken, we both thought was a good football coach. Who knows if he'll make a good head coach or not? You're really just playing a guessing game when all is said and done.
Good coach.
I hate to break it down like that, but did anybody know if Nate Scheelhaus was going to be a good coach? Anybody know if who was the other one? Udinese, if he was going to be a great head coach? Udinese, that's right.
Say it right.
So
someday he's going to be great.
old.
You're never going to be able to forget.
That's right.
I don't know.
30-year-old. Okay, so yeah, well, Josh McDaniels was a really young guy that was a head coach at one point.
Well, you always find a way, don't you?
I'm just saying. So,
you're obsessed.
So all I'm wondering though is, with all the Monken stuff, and we've said positive things. This show has said some positive things about Todd freaking Monken. With all that said,
good coach.
I
hope he doesn't start saying anything about his assistants pregame. That's going to be weird.
Well,
another thing you got to worry about?
Have you ever seen
Jim Schwartz back?
A scenario at a coaching search where you had guys pulling out and then publicly making sure to issue statements, almost press releases that they were pulling out, and then to have existing guys in the building? Because it's not just, by the way, Jim Schwartz that's upset about this. I can't remember. Maybe we're not following every head coaching search around the NFL like this, but I cannot remember this many people who walked away from a team going, I'm not happy with that process. I'm not happy with the way this thing went out. Like, is there a way the Browns could have done this any different and still arrived at Todd Monken where they weren't pissing people off left and right? Because that's what it seems like ended up going down. And this stuff will resurface when they play their games, when they go up against these guys. You know, look at the schedule this year. It's a very charitable schedule, at least on paper right now. But when they go up against these teams and these guys that had to issue press releases on the way out the door,
this might make it a little bit easier to stomach. Is there a fan base that's not pissed off about their coach that they hired? That at least isn't somewhat, with the exception of the Giants. I should say, is there any fan base, not the Giants, that's not even a little bit pissed off? Maybe the Ravens. The other ones are kind of pissed.
Yeah.
Steelers fans, not thrilled. I mean, good God, they were called again. He's weeping at the press conference over Pittsburgh. They're calling him a baby later on in the afternoon on that show over there at 93.7. Obviously, it's been a split decision here. No, I thought that it would change a little bit. That time heals some things. Usually there's a very strong reaction, and I didn't think it was going to be positive of a reaction when I got texted yesterday at 9:30 or whenever it was. And then I thought it would kind of cool off. It's still been pretty vitriolic, but it's.
But what I mean,
nobody has said,
Kenny,
they've all been. Real quick, they've all had vitriol about the team, the organization, the ownership. Nobody has said that Todd Monken is a boob.
No, not at all. Not people.
I don't think he's a boob.
I mean, I've heard him described more as a genius than Nate Scheelhaus or even Udinese.
If you're Jimmy Haslam, you're like, yeah, I'm a billionaire. People say nasty things about billionaires all the time, but you guys aren't saying he's a bad hire.
What I'm curious though is from the Pelissaro story that comes out when he goes on Rich Eisen and chronicles all laundry list of things that make this a unique coaching search, that other teams don't do it exactly this way. Other teams might have, different traits of a coaching search that the Browns are doing, but nobody makes the guys jump through the hoops that the Browns are. And then it comes out, even though Mary Kay and some others have tried to debunk it since, but around the league, they think that Jim Schwartz was being foisted on, forced on these candidates.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that in any of the other coaching searches. You just didn't.
No.
So what is it about this search that has so many people around the league baffled or critical of the Cleveland Browns and Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry?
Because it feels like you probably should have just kept Kevin Stefanski to a lot of folks. Because a lot of people feel a lot better about Kevin Stefanski outside of Cleveland than Browns fans do.
That is true.
Now, again, let me clarify, because Owen just gave me a look that says I better clarify.
At him.
Oh.
I want to know what other coaching search had a unit that was one of the top in the NFL, and because I don't think forced on is the correct term.
Okay.
For Jim Schwartz, I think it's one of these things like, hey, not only are you taking it, we know that the offense is lacking and there's a lot of things that need to happen, and we don't have a quarterback, but we've got the top player on defense in the league, And we've got under contract the guy that helped him get to the next level of that. And this is almost our present to you of going, don't worry about the defense. If you're an offensive guy, don't worry about the defense. I could understand it if these were young, up-and-coming defensive backs coaches that everybody thought were going to be the next wave of the NFL. But I disagree with that being forced on Jim Schwartz being forced on anyone.
As our gift to you, here's a guy who's going to get real pissed off he didn't get the
obviously,
I'm kidding.
Obviously, that's in hindsight, and you can do your little joke on that all you want, but you didn't know that was going to happen yesterday. You had no clue that was going to happen.
I think a lot of people were wondering.
Because it would have come up in this show before then.
Well, we
How
did
did it not
wonder.
come up in the show?
We did wonder
It came
how
up in the show.
You
how
brought
he
up
would
in
react.
the show in the weeks prior, leading up to yesterday, that Jim Schwartz is going to get so mad that he's going to throw a fit and walk out of the building.
Well, I don't know how much of a fit
didn't.
it was, but I didn't think it was going to. I think a lot of people questioned whether or not it was going to work in the last 24 hours, but no one predicted he was going to pack his boxes and
So
leave.
that's my point of it.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I, at 8
Still
o'clock.
won't be here next year.
So I put up a poll at 8 o'clock. Genuinely curious, Browns fans, which would you have preferred? And I put head coach, Monken, DC, not Schwartz. I put up head coach Stefanski, DC, Schwartz. Basically the setup as the season ended. And the third option was head coach Schwartz, OC, question mark. And 700 votes are in. Half the voters say they just would have preferred last year's setup.
50-50 is not good.
That is very interesting to me.
50-50 is not
That
good.
means
Well,
people...
that ain't even 50-50. That's 50-25-20.
25. That means people are completely uninspired by all of this. Now, is it because of what I said, the Pelissaro report, the reports about whether or not, the DC was going to be forced? Do you think that is more about the actual process than it is what the process uncovered? Or is it also that Stefanski got a job immediately and people around the league seem to think that he's going to do really cool things with that offense? After what we just saw the last 2 years.
First off, I don't think Browns fans really care about what everybody else around the league thinks. I mean,
You don't think so?
I think they've gotten pretty sick, and at least as of right now, I think they've gotten pretty sick and tired of being told around the league that Browns fans don't know any better. I mean, the Dan Orlovsky stuff enough over this last year was enough to make a Browns fan puke. Basically threatening Browns fans. Oh, you run him out of town and see what happens.
But he
and
was
I think
right.
a lot of Browns fans are going,
He
fine.
was right. Stefanski left, got hired immediately.
I'd
He ended
really
up in
be
Atlanta.
interested had the Bills made their. I mean, he got hired before the Bills even made a coaching switch.
That's understandable. And
would they have went after Stefanski
but
as well?
I also say this, and this is the second thing. I also say this knowing I don't believe that and you've never disagreed with me on this. I don't believe Kevin wanted to be here. I think it was more of a break than it was you're fired and get out of here. And so it's an official show stance that Kevin didn't want to be here. So if we all know that, I will move on from it. But this was all part of it. I didn't think you were going to have an inspiring hire ever, and you didn't either. So if you didn't think that this show's been telling you that now for 3 months, you are clearly confused on which show you've been listening to on The Fan. Because we all said it's not a great job. You're not going to get a great, big, inspiring thing. Dare to dream. We had John Harbaugh Day. We had a little bit of Sean McDermott here and there. Kurt Signetti got brought up. And really no Dion got brought up on this show. Except for Friday when we weren't here.
When you weren't here,
Yeah.
I laughed at it pretty quick.
Yeah, okay, no Dion got brought up, and then I said basically that anybody saying Belichick was lazy, and I went at Rex Ryan there for a minute. But other than that, it was no, it ain't a great job. This is where we're at. And, yeah, that's what you got. An uninspiring hire who isn't a bad coach. He's a good coach. But it's not inspiring for a job that doesn't inspire a lot. I mean, hell, I'll tell you right now, there were people around Nate Shieldhouse saying, don't take the job. Who was telling a 60-year-old Todd Monken to not take the job?
They had to.
There you go.